Keith Prabhu is the chairman of Cloud Security Alliance's Mumbai chapter. He is the executive director, Confidus, a consulting company that specializes in risk business continuity management. Keith, can I please have you upstairs? Thank you. I'll get you.
Um, Technology glitches are something that always comes up when you need it. So thank you so much, Tech Mahindra, for giving me this opportunity to speak at this event. I'll just get right into it because we are actually running short on time. So I'd like to start, I'd like to share with you a quote or a saying. You must have heard it before. It goes like this: may you live in interesting times. And if you think about it, it seems to be a very innocuous quote, but it's actually not. It does not mean what you think it means. It's actually it's thought to be a Chinese curse. When somebody tells you, "May you live in interesting times," it means may you have a lot of troubles. So I think as IT professionals and IT security people, we live in interesting times with a lot of challenges, with a lot of technologies emerging, and there are two ways to look at it. One is, of course, looking at it as a problem, but of course, as IT professionals and security professionals, this is a great opportunity, a time of great opportunity for us in order to contribute to the profession and to society. So I started my career a long time ago, about 20 years ago, and somebody had made this statement: being in IT is like trying to climb a waterfall. As you climb up, the water is gushing down on you, and you have to still climb up. And that's the same situation which has accelerated today. In fact, it's like climbing the Niagara Falls, because we have today technologies like the cloud, the Internet of Things, big data, and there are so many technologies which get launched, and then we have security to take care of. So let me just jog your memory. If you go back 10, 15 years ago, the landscape, the IT landscape was totally different. I remember once, that time I was part of another company, HCL, and when I used to go to a customer, normally how they used to connect to the internet, even to send out mail, was the mail is to get sent to a Lotus Note server at that time, and when the server is to get the mail, it is to dial out through a modem and connect to the internet and deliver the mail. And the entire network was not always connected. If a person wanted to use the internet even within the premises, he had to go to a desk, sit down, connect via the shrieking sound of the modem, and then connect to the internet and use it. So that risk of not being connected was quite less, because a hacker couldn't spend a long time trying to get into your network and utilizing the window. Then going forward, we had, of course, the client-server technology. We got a lot of ways to protect it. We had the firewall, we had IPS, IDS, we had the DMZ, we had various concepts which were implemented: defense in depth, least privilege access, and stuff like that. But still, after all this, we have a situation where target gets hacked. So what has gone wrong? What has gone wrong? Where has the IT security industry gone wrong? So let's park this, and I'll come back to this a bit later. Let us fast forward now to today. We are on the cusp of technology integrating with the real world. We have the Internet of Things, in which we have machine-to-machine communications. Now let us just think about the risks that we are looking at. Just the tip of the iceberg is an incident whereby it was recently found out that somebody's refrigerator was involved in a spam attack. And how was that possible? This refrigerator was using Internet of Things. And it was used by hackers to pass out messages through that refrigerator. So this is just the tip of the iceberg, and this is going to, and why is this happening? And many of the speakers earlier mentioned it, but they didn't mention it very explicitly. Security is an afterthought. Security is still an afterthought. People want to rush to the market to give convenience to the customer, to allow him to connect, to allow him to use apps, mobile phones, but in an insecure manner. Why? Because they are just scared that somebody else will come and take away the market if they take too much time spending on implementing security. And I think this sort of behavior or this sort of approach has been there for a long time in the IT industry. And I remember how, from the times of Microsoft, whereby it's first important to launch the product and then try to fix it. So we've seen this as a trend. Big data, another very strong, business-driven initiative. Businesses are finding that gathering data and then mining it and coming up with insights give them an edge over their competitors. But then even that technology has its own concerns. You can actually data mine and you can undermine a person's privacy. And for those who've not heard of the situation whereby, in the US, Target had identified that a girl is pregnant before even her parents knew it, and used to send pamphlets to the house encouraging that family to buy baby products, because they realized through their data mining that she is pregnant, which her parents didn't know. So big data, while it seems to be very, it's very lucrative for business, and let me tell you, being not just a technology person but a business person, for business, of course, business comes first, and they are going to go where it's going to be most profitable, and security, privacy is going to be an afterthought. Last, let me come to another technology, the cloud technology. And we've seen speakers speaking about the iCloud and how we've had the nude photos which were extracted out of iCloud. We've had other famous cloud exploits which have happened out there. But if you really think about it, till now we've not had really big events which have happened in the cloud. But let me tell you, it's a matter of time. And why I'm saying that? The cloud is a big target to hit. It's a big target to hit. If a hacker goes after probably one corporate system, he might get useful data. But if he goes after the cloud and manages to get even one vulnerability which can be exploited across all the customers, it's a big data to hit. It's a big payday. And that's exactly, to draw an analogy, it's like, why was Microsoft hacked so much as compared to the Mac? There were many more Microsoft machines. So somebody finding a hack in a Microsoft operating system, he's hit pay dirt. So that's why we had more. It's not necessarily that Mac was more secure, but people concentrated more on hacking the Microsoft because they had a larger base from which they could get some sort of payback. Asim touched upon a nice thing earlier when he spoke about hackers, and one thing that I wanted to tell the audience at that point of time was, hackers, I think hackers should wear the label of a hacker very proudly, because hacker is a very intellectual and intelligent person. Hackers traditionally never used to break into systems for financial gains. It's a very, very privileged position to have. They used to do it for intellectual curiosity. What we are looking now are not hackers actually. It's a misnomer. They are crackers. Crackers are the evil guys. They are the bad guys. They do it because they want to earn something out of it. So just wanted to share this with the audience. But going back to the cloud and getting in Cloud Security Alliance. Just drink some water. So the Cloud Security Alliance, and I am the chairman of the Cloud Security Alliance India. They have done a lot of research in cloud security and have come up with a document called the Notorious 9, which lists the 9 major threats to cloud computing. And I'd like to just touch upon a couple. For example, account hijacking is a big thing. People have to store passwords. Two-factor authentication is still coming up. And account hacking is a big thing, and that's the leading cause of hacks into the cloud. Another big vulnerability is APIs, and it's, for example, if your cloud provider is giving you a service and the API would be probably very secure, and you are further giving it to another customer of yours, if you don't secure it properly, you're going to have a vulnerability. So the cloud computing has vulnerabilities. Another great vulnerability or serious vulnerability is internal, internal misuse. The cloud service provider will have people working on your stuff, and they might have privileged access, and your data might go out. So there is a lot of there are a lot of risks in the cloud. Another risk, and now coming to the cracker community, the cracker community is using the cloud. Think about it. Earlier, when a cracker wanted to attack a particular, say, victim, they had limited resources at their disposal. They had few servers. They had to build all the capabilities themselves. Today, what do? They go to the cloud, they use the cloud, and they hide in the cloud, and they can harness the cloud, for malicious use. So that in that way, us security professionals are now at a disadvantage, because for example, if you want to do a brute force attack, you can use the cloud's resources to do it. Earlier, it used to be very difficult to get your own resources to do a brute force attack and break into somebody's network. But now the malicious use of the cloud is on the rise. So what are the new threats we are looking at? Earlier, hackers used to work in short time periods. Now we are looking at hackers lying dormant for weeks, months, years, and doing advanced persistent threats. They're learning about your network. They're not sitting quiet. They're learning about your network, finding out your vulnerabilities, looking, watching, and when the time is right, they will strike. So we're looking at such attacks, which is way beyond what was done earlier. We used to think, oh, hacker is going to come in, he's going to find a zero-day vulnerability, or he's going to get in, he's going to take away your data and move out. Here we have like sleeper cells. He's going to track you for long periods, and then he's going to attack you when he's ready. Another, as I mentioned earlier also, that the cloud is going to be a big target. Once it's hit, there's going to be a lot of damage caused to a lot of organizations. So what can we do? What can you do? I'm not a doomsday predictor here, or I don't want to say all is bad and we need to shut down the cloud. I'm not the person who says we need to go back to the bullock carts because the car is no longer safe. I'm not that sort of person. But yeah, we need to do something. What do we need? What do we do? Just like the hackers, we need to use technology. And here I'd like to compliment Shaumaron, and he's not just he's a close friend of mine, and I'm very proud of the work that he's done, because his the product and the thinking that he brings to the security world is something that the security world is now realizing. Yeah, and he's been doing it from like donkey years, but now the world is talking about what he's done. Let me just briefly just touch on the concept. We need to use the cloud in order to make security more robust. And how do you do that? If you look at security today, there are all silos. You look, there is endpoint security, there is a network security, there is a server security, and then you say, okay, they are not talking to each other. Now you say, okay, let us put a SIEM system in place, let us put all the data there in place, and then we can understand if there is an attack. But the targets of the world had SIEM. What happened? It didn't work. They had people. It didn't work. So the security community now needs to think on a different level. It's not that we are not smarter than the crackers, but we need to think innovatively. For example, what if we take all this data and put it into the cloud? Different organizations' data, we put in the cloud and correlate across organizations. We'll be able to identify threats across organizations, and maybe one organization gets hacked, but that pattern can be easily recognized, and other organizations can be warned in advance that you had connected to this IP network. This IP network was involved in an attack. You need to block this IP from getting into your network. You need that level of intelligence now. We need to start using technology in a bigger manner. Use, for example, cloud technology, which is supposed to be vulnerable, but we can use it positively. Another important part about improving the security is having social media for security professionals. We need to have a platform whereby security professionals can easily share data among themselves. If there is something which is noticed by, say, a security professional sitting in one organization, he should be able to share with others that I'm seeing this suspicious IP is doing something suspicious. Did you see it? There should be some way for collaborating on all of that. Third point is trust, and I'd like to narrate a bit of an anecdote here. Is there's this guy who was walking in the Himalayas with his friends. He was gone on a trek, and it was snowing, and suddenly they're hit by a blizzard, and he gets separated. And as he's walking, he goes somewhere to the edge of a cliff, and he plummets down. As he's falling down, he catches hold of something. He tells, cries out to God, and he says, God, please save me. Calls out once, twice, thrice. Finally, God answers. And he says, yeah, what do you want? He says, please save me, I'm going to die. So God says, do you really trust me? So he says, yeah, I do. So God says, okay, leave whatever you're holding on to. He says, I can't do that, because if I leave, I'll fall down. And he doesn't do it. And then the morning that same climber, that person who was on the trek is found, he's hanging 2 feet away from the ground, frozen. If you'd have let go and trusted, he would have survived. But this is exactly the point, trust. When we are looking at technologies like the cloud, what you're basically doing is you're taking your crown jewels, you're putting it into somebody else's infrastructure. Can you trust them? And trust is the bedrock of everything. Relationships, marriage, trust is the bedrock. Same is the case with the cloud. Can you trust the cloud? And that's where Cloud Security Alliance, for example, comes into play. It's a vendor neutral organization which has a lot of research work which is done to enhance the trust in the cloud. So for example, if you're a professional, you can do something like a CCSK certification, whereby you can scale up your existing security knowledge so that you can become aware of what are the risks in the cloud and what can be done about it. If you're an organization, you can do something called STAR certification. So you have now added a cloud component, and that cloud component needs to be secure. What all do you need to do? What are the controls you need to put in place? You can have those controls in place, and then you can say, I've got a STAR certification which all your customers and society can see and say, you are secure. If you're a software developer, there is a work group which deals with how to make software more secure if you're going to put it in the cloud. So Cloud Security Alliance is trying to bring more trust into the cloud, and that's one of the areas that you as IT and security professionals can definitely contribute. So last point I'd like to touch upon and make it more relevant to us, all that I'm talking about in IoT and big data and cloud, it seems all out there, is it relevant to us? As Subbu, as I call him, LS Subramaniam, rightly pointed out, customer doesn't care. The customer doesn't care. Is it all relevant to India? And I would like to say it is. We had the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, saying he wants to make a digital India. He wants to have a situation where every citizen doesn't need to carry certificates and go from one department to another, but the department should be able to extract it from somewhere, and he should be able to refer to that certificate. What is he talking about? He's talking about something like a cloud, whereby everybody can store some data in a central place, and it can be shared among multiple people without having to actually transfer data left, right, center and make things easier. He's talking about the cloud. So what we are talking here is not some fairy tale, some fiction. This is going to be reality, and we heard from Dr. Zia that government is going to spend billions of dollars on this. What are we IT security professionals going to do about it? Are we going to upgrade our knowledge? Are we going to support the government? Are we going to support the community? We need to think about this very seriously. So the last point that I like to exhort the audience here is, we have various bodies like the Cloud Security Alliance. It's an international organization. It's a non-profit organization. It is an open organization welcoming people out of all countries. Unfortunately, I see professionals from India, earlier when I was a much younger professional, I used to find it very difficult to find any such forums. Because there was no internet, it used to be very difficult to find out who's doing what and get involved in research, try to put India's perspective on a global level. It was extremely difficult. We just didn't know where to go. Today, thanks to the internet, thanks to LinkedIn, thanks to all the social media that is there, we know what's happening. But still, I am finding that Indians are not interested in becoming part of global work groups. And that's very sad, because by becoming part of that, you get multiple benefits. First, you manage to get an India perspective and put India's voice into the global level and help drive standards, thinking, so that we also, our interests are safeguarded there. You know. Second thing, it helps you personally as a career. If you're going to contribute to work groups, you get the recognition that you have done this contribution, you have done, and you upgrade your skills. So I'd like to leave on this note. Security is, is a very important task, and it cannot be an afterthought. The need is out there. We have the intellectual capability here in India. We have people like Shaumaron who have shown that it's possible. So I think it's high time we, stop making excuses, because even the resources are out there, and we really make a concerted effort to make things more secure and move towards the future, which will be digital, rather than saying that it's not going to be secure and let's be in the bullock cart age. That's where I'd like to end. Thank you. So any questions? Any questions? I'm happy to take them.
Thanks, Keith. May I invite Sabia Hetavkar, who's the senior leaders from security, to come and give the memento. Thanks, Keith. Thanks, Sabia.